Live from St. John Fisher, Jeremy and Joe. Good morning, everyone. Joe's over here checking if the Bills have scored a touchdown from every yardage in their franchise history.
It's like my own version of Bills score-origami.
Yeah.
I think I'm not fully done. I think the Bills have scored a touchdown from every yardage inside of 64 yards.
Okay.
All right.
But almost like they've not scored from 99, 97, 96, 94, 93.
I'm actually
like there's a game. There's a game. There's like a little betting game I think to be played here.
I find that quite amazing. I would have thought with interception returns, punt returns, kickoff returns, you'd have those, like, almost everything covered.
And this does include defensive and punt return. Like, there's the Deontay Hardy touchdown against the Dolphins. So, yeah, there's a few yardages up high that they've never scored.
All right, someone give that list to Josh Allen for the season. Let's knock them all off. Let's get them.
I actually think this is, like, really – this is a good note for, like, Bills PR. If they even know, I'm like, if you get one during the year, you can literally write out that's the first ever touchdown of blank yards in Bills history.
There you go.
I wonder, let me see if I can find, because they would have touchdowns above 100, right?
Yes.
From kick returns.
100%, yes.
That's where 99 still being in play.
Right. I was gonna bring that up. Like, you could actually you need to go to, like, 109.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we're live at St. John Fisher. They're blowing some standing water.
Are they mowing the lawn?
No, they're blowing water off the pavement. I mean, it rained a good amount for a lengthy period of time. Looks like it's going to clear up for practice today.
Yep.
Sal Capaccio is with us for the latest on what's going on here at St. John Fisher, the Maxwell Hairston injury. Coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University, brought to you by Fiegel Carr and Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealers. For great deals on the entire Honda lineup, visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. All right, Sal, so we got good news, relatively good news on Maxwell Hairston injury. Not as bad as it could have been. And Ian Rappaport's reporting a 3-week timeline. You're saying a little bit more of like, no timeline on this.
Sure.
But sprained LCL.
Yeah, so what was first reported by Jordan Schultz, Ian Rappaport, and Mike Garafolo. I hope I get all them correct, who were the first, because you want to make sure you put that out there, that they were the first to report it. I can say is accurate and correct. It is the ACL is intact. He has a sprained LCL. The timeline that Ian put on it, I would say the Bills don't put timelines on injuries. That's what he's reporting. He could very well be back in 3 weeks. I'm not saying he's wrong. I mean, I would trust Ian Rappaport could be more accurate than not in this scenario. But I am saying that the Bills generally don't put timelines on injuries because there's no reason to do that. Like, Sean McDermott doesn't like to paint himself into a corner for that. If you say 3 weeks and the guy isn't on the field in 3 weeks now, what happened? Did he have bad rehab? Did something go wrong? If you say 3 weeks, he's back in 2. Why didn't you know he would be back a little bit sooner? You just don't do that. You let them come along at their own pace. Anything can happen over the next few weeks. But we will hear from Sean McDermott tomorrow before the open practice, return of the blue and the red. Terms he usually uses, week to week, he'll be out a little while, something like that, right? I mean, those are things, those are key words that we'll be listening for, but I can tell you that it is, considering what we thought it could be, considering what it looked like it could be, all things considered, I think this is the best news possible.
Yeah, it would be. It kind of gives an answer to Hairston's post himself from Instagram. Thank you, God. Like feeling like he dodged a bullet there. Like
no doubt,
he got away from a potential really bad ACL injury.
Yeah, and everybody, this is what we do. We live in this society where guys have their own platforms and social media, and we try to decipher everything they're writing. And I learned a long time ago not to do that. It can mean something. It generally doesn't a lot of times. Whereas it could be something about their own family and relationships, and you take it as it's something about football. So you have to be careful with that. So there was a lot of speculating going on, and now we know, though, that Max Hairston is going to be out a little bit. He's going to be out a few weeks here. Now the question is, if he's back in time, healthy enough to play before, the opener, and let's just even say a week before the opener. Let's just give that. Let's just say 3 weeks. Let's say Ian Rappaport's right. 3 weeks takes us to, the 20th, 21st, right, of August? That's plenty of time before the opener. The opener is until September 7th.
Right.
Question is he a healthy and active, or is he active? Because I can't really see any scenario where he's starting week 1, given this scenario, right? I mean, that's his Trey White's job, and, so is he even a healthy player on the roster, or would they healthy scratch him at that point? These are things down the road, But I think you have to start thinking about, like, what does that first part of the season look like for him now?
Yeah, does it almost remind you a little bit of Cole Bishop last year, where you miss some time and it's really hard for a rookie, especially early in the season, to carve out a role playing? I mean, maybe he can work his way into maybe they would do a rotation at some point, Sal, but it feels like right now that if Tre'Davious White doesn't misstep and they stay healthy at that position, that Hairston, it's good that he's going to be available at some point during the season, but I'm not thinking about him much for making an impact now, really almost up to the bye week. Like, again, injuries can happen to other guys, and he could get in, but they have a week 7 bye. I don't know, like, I'm thinking about week 8 as, like, if Trey White looks pretty good, but maybe you think you could get a little better, that would be maybe enough time for Hairston to really feel more comfortable getting into a starting role. Yeah,
and he would have to really beat out Trey, and I would say that's going to be tough to do. I think Tre'Davious White's been good. Mm-hmm. There's 2 parts to this, right, which is if you get your first-round cornerback and he's healthy to play, he might look good. Is he good enough to be on the field over Tre'Davious White is a second question. And right now I think Tre'Davious White has looked really good out here. He's been the better player, I think, out here between the two. Not that Max has done anything wrong, but Trey's set the bar pretty high here, I think, to clear for him. And then the other part is I think they feel good about the depth they have at the position. They did bring back Dane Jackson. They drafted Dorian Strong. They still have Jamarcus Ingram. Like, this isn't a position, I think, where they're like, oh, my God, we got to go out. We got to get these guys. Matt Bove brought up Russell Douglas to me on It's Always Game Day in Buffalo. I don't think that's something they would invest in right now and do. That's something I think you do if you get down to, okay, like, what we're scrambling here. We got to have someone to come in and play right away who knows our system. They don't need that right now. They have Tre'Davious White. Dane Jackson knows the system. Jamarcus Ingram's been around. Mm-hmm. Dorian Strong is coming along. I don't think you have to go out and hit that button yet.
As we're talking about injuries, Sal, I'm thinking today'd be a nice day for that list to shorten up a bit. They had an off day because the list was long, and Hairston happens, and then Cole Bishop and Ty Johnson leave and come back, and sometimes the guy leaves and comes back and is on the injury report by the time the next practice rolls around. So it's been a camp with a lot of smallish injuries, and I don't know. I feel like the Bills would like to see that number drop quite a bit.
No doubt about it, and we'll see if we get any guys back here today off the injured list, as you said. A couple of guys were heat-related issues, so hopefully today, a cooler day. Mm-hmm. Maybe you get a couple guys back, right? Then you have guys like Dawson Knox, who's been working his way to get back. But I think it's a wet field. You're putting Dawson Knox out there after having a hamstring injury, and it's a wet field. And, is now the right time? He's a veteran. Can you wait until Monday when they come back after the Blue and Red? He's not going to make his debut, I wouldn't think, in that, but who knows, right? Those are things that I think you have to start thinking about. Alec Anderson had a knee injury. He missed the other day. But he was out there with the team. He was walking around. I think that's always an encouraging sign. I'm still very much on what is going on with Spencer Brown alert and what is going on with Cedric Van Pran-Granger alert. We haven't seen either of them.
No.
I've seen Spencer Brown out there. I haven't seen Cedric. I'm not saying he hasn't been out there. I haven't seen him.
Yeah.
Spencer's been walking around a little bit. I saw him one day with street clothes. But these are 2 offensive linemen who haven't played yet. And the other guys, Tyrell Shavers, we know he's going to come back at some point. Mm-hmm. Curtis Samuel's dealt with something. Elijah Moore's dealt with something. Caden Prather. These are guys you're going to get back. I mean, at some point you're going to get back. You know that. Right? So, yeah, it would be nice. And look, I mean, let's tie this back into the Max Hairston discussion. Look what happened last year with Cole Bishop just missing some time. Yeah. Well, if you're a rookie and you're missing some time in the preseason, I mean, you're really far behind. For a rookie, it's exponential time you miss. If Dawson Knox misses 2 weeks, he comes back on the field and plays.
Yeah.
If Max Hairston or last year Cole Bishop misses 2 to 3 weeks, you can say he's basically like 6 weeks behind. How do you make that up?
Yeah.
You don't, because you have to get out there. You have the knowledge of the defense, the physical play to get, of the NFL, everything that goes into it.
And that how worried should we be about that? Because I'm a little bit reasons versus excuses. Like, it's definitely a reason that Bishop is behind the 8 ball when it comes to trying to come back and be a part of this offense. And Sal, you can even bring this not just preseason and training camp, but in season. Keon Coleman said that when he got hurt and went out, the offense kind of changed a bit, and he had trouble finding his way back into it.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Missing time at any point for a young player, it's not like you're going to get phased out of the organization's plans, but it really does change the charting of what happens in your rookie year.
the NFL stops for no one,
Yeah.
right? They're not going to – well, maybe unless you're Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, right? You get my point, though. Like, the team has to play. They have to play games. They have to prepare. And when people say next man up, it doesn't just mean the next guy's got to step in and do a great job. Yes, like, you got to step up. Next man up means, like, we got to prepare. Like, we have a game. We can't wait for you. Like, we're not stopping our next game because we got a guy who's not going to be here and, he's got to take a little bit of time. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you in this league. So guess what? We're going to plan for this game. We're going to plan for that game. And as we go, if things are changing, well, guess what? You're missing that. That's unfortunate. We're not going to tailor everything around a guy who's sitting, who's in IR, who's coming back a little bit later. We got to do what we got to do. And that's exactly right when it comes to how Keon Coleman came back, which is a great anecdote, Jeremy, that you just brought up about why Brandon Beane said what he said at the end of the year about Keon Coleman. He just wasn't the same player. Now, think about what Keon Coleman said. Like, yeah, I mean, it was tougher for me to come back and figure that part out. It wasn't just recovering from the injury, which that's also a piece of it. Recovering from an injury for a young player who's never been really hurt in their career, who's been the best player at the high school or college level or whatever, they're not used to that. They don't understand what goes into that. Like, there's a lot that goes into, coming back from it. And we all know the Bills made a change in strength and conditioning coach, right? They have a new head strength and conditioning coach. I'm not sitting here blaming anybody, but I think the Bills also need a new approach about those kinds of things and fresh ideas, as Sean McDermott has said. It's an organization. You have to think about everything that goes and baked into all this.
Sal Capaccio with us. Sal, we talked some injuries there, and through a week of camp, is there any position that you think that you're thinking differently about who will make the team compared to when we came into training camp?
Whoa. Who will make the team? So bottom of the roster?
Yeah, because even like we talked about receiver there and how like Curtis Samuel's been out and Elijah Moore's been in and out, but there's no real expectation, I think, right now that receiver's any different than we thought it would be. The tight ends. Dawson Knox has been hurt and Kincaid's hurt, but nobody thinks tight end will be different. Maybe there's something on defense.
I wonder on the offensive line what happens considering Cedric Van Pran-Granger's been out. Alec Anderson is no longer needed as an extra offensive lineman, and he also can play center.
Right.
Right? Does that do anything to Cedric Van Pran-Granger's status on the roster? Mm-hmm. And then you have, because Spencer's been out, I've seen Ryan Vandermark in there with Tylan Grable rotating, right?
Yep.
Like, I wonder at the bottom end of that, are we looking at maybe where is Cedric Van Pran-Granger's spot ultimately? Where I thought that Tylan Grable could push Ryan Vandermark off the roster, and you have Chase Lunt coming up. Maybe Ryan Vandermark now becomes actually, hey, no, he's a really important piece of what we need here. How does that all look in the offensive line? And I think Alec Anderson's a key for all of this because you have Jackson Hawes now. Jackson Hawes is, to me, your sixth offensive lineman. He's a tight end. You can throw him a pass. Alec Anderson now can kind of fight for a swing spot. He can fight for a reserve spot where maybe you can play with the offensive line a little bit on who can make it. And if you're not on the field, it's going to be tougher for you.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe if Anderson can give them more versatility on the inside.
Right.
Are you almost saying they could think about keeping an extra tackle just to kind of protect themselves if Spencer Brown is dealing with something that goes into the season?
I'm saying they could maybe keep an extra interior guy, but maybe you are forced to keep an extra tackle. Maybe you're forced to keep an extra tackle. Maybe you can keep an interior guy because you don't need him as an extra offensive lineman. He can actually be a regular interior guy.
Right.
Alec Anderson is what I'm saying, right?
Right.
And this is a Cedric Van Pran-Granger point for me. Like, if I don't see Cedric Van Pran-Granger out on the field, like at some point, does he go on a list? Does he not make the team?
Yeah. When are they open to do that? Like when? Because I think if they put a guy in IR right now,
he's out for the year.
So they wouldn't want to do that.
Correct.
But when in the calendar can they start, playing around with like, we could put him on this, but he could come back later?
It's a good question. So here's how it's going to work. On the final day of cuts, so the last day where everybody says they have to make the final roster, right?
Yeah.
On that day, they can put two guys on injured reserve who can still come back 4 weeks later if you want, or they can stay out as long as you want. But that's that IR to return designation. You don't and they're going to immediately count against their IR to return numbers, but they don't have to come back necessarily. But they can put those two guys there. It used to be where you had to make the 53, then you got to put in IR. You don't have to do that. So you can do it that time. You can put up to two guys on there. Otherwise, Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi are going to go on a suspended list. And then everybody else, if you're released, if you're less than 4 years in the league, you're waivers. If you're more than 4 years, you're a free agent. So let's take Cedric Van Pran-Granger. He gets to that point. He's like, look, we think he's going to play. He's not he's not ready yet.
Yeah.
If you waive him, anybody can claim him. I mean, he hasn't been in the league 4 years. Or you
Right.
can put him on IR, and then he has a chance to come back. Let's hope it doesn't get to that, but those are the options for a guy like that.
Is safety at all behind Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp? Is that changing at all, in your opinion, for who is maybe in line right now to make the team? I'm thinking about Hamlin for this. Like, Hamlin, I don't know, I always see him interacting with guys out there, like whether it's the young guys or it's coaching, and, of course, he could do special teams as well. And then there's rookies, obviously, that are competing there. There's Cam Lewis. I don't know. What does safety look like to you right now, or is it still a huge question mark behind Bishop and Taylor Rapp?
I have long believed, like, my prediction going into camp was that Derek Forrest would be the fourth safety and DeMar Hamlin would not be on the team. But the way that you get DeMar Hamlin on the team, because I could see it, would be Cam Lewis and Jordan Hancock are both are kind of guys that you don't necessarily rely on to be your fourth safety. They can do a lot of different things for you. They can be versatile. One can play special teams. One can be a nickel. I still think it's going to be it's tough for numbers. I think it's DeMar Hamlin and Derek Forrest could be fighting for a spot. And the reason I say that is because I just can't see Cam Lewis not on this team. Brandon Beane loves him.
Yeah.
He thinks Brandon Beane will tell you the guy could start for a lot of teams as a nickel corner. Mm-hmm. Why would you get rid of a really, really terrific backup nickel corner?
Right.
When he can be on your team. And he's been here for 7 years now. He plays all your special teams. The fly in the ointment is Jordan Hancock. Jordan Hancock, because he can play safety, he can play nickel corner, that squeezes one of those numbers. And it's going to be interesting to see how it washes out.
And the Bills love their position flexibility. It's
Yes.
kind of a way to make a 53-man roster kind of like a 57-man because
That's
guys
right.
play
That's
two
exactly
different
right.
spots.
And that's where you're kind of getting to, like, maybe that is what hurts Hamlin and Forrest to both
Yeah.
making the team, because those guys are not going to ever
That's
play
right.
nickel corner for you, or they'll play special teams, but
That's right.
they're not going to move around the defense the way that the other two guys you mentioned are.
Yeah, for sure. I think Derek Forrest was brought here to really help on special teams, and because he played for a Ron Rivera defense, he has a base knowledge of the system, and he can play. I've thought that he would be over DeMar Hamlin. I think DeMar's made a few plays out here, and I think DeMar is still in the mix here, okay? That said, I just don't know how you make all the numbers work with everyone. This might just come down to preseason and you know, who makes plays and who doesn't. I mean, it's the back end of the roster. You got to make a play or two.
Right.
Sal Capaccio here ahead of training camp practice.
One guy, go ahead.
No,
one guy I want to bring up. We haven't seen it, and we need to see him soon. Is Tyler Bass? He has had a pelvic injury.
Pelvic injury, right? Yeah.
And now the good news is they have not gone out and got a kicker.
Yeah.
All right, so there's not even doing like kicking in these segments, but at some point, you got to see your kicker out there kicking some footballs, I think, right? So I would hope that would happen soon, too.
Right. And they are.
He was out here earlier in the year.
And there's no competitive reason
for
to think
several days.
that they would bring another guy in, right?
No,
I mean,
I
he
don't
very
think
much
so.
reasserted himself second half of last year.
Yeah. And I mean, they never even, I guess during like rookie camp, of course, but
Yeah.
they never even had like 2 kickers on the roster after like
which is that
in May.
speaks to, I guess, how far he came in the second half of last year. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but I mean, they had a kicker on the team during the regular season last year. Or excuse me, they had a kicker on the practice squad, right? They had a second kicker during, the time right before the trade deadline, and then he hits the 61-yarder against Miami, and that's kind of it. But sure, right, like if he's they would need a guy to kick even in the preseason, right? If he's dealing with anything. So
yeah, they would
unless they just have a punter kick in the preseason or something.
Yeah, the other thing is you want your operation, right? Like I know it's fun to talk about like you have a kicking competition, a punting competition.
Yeah.
Bring somebody in. You want your operation to be buttoned up. And the more guys you bring in there, the less time that is to have the operation buttoned up. Right? That's more guys. Whether it's a long snapper, a kicker, or a punter, all those guys are the long snapper, the holder, the punter, the kicker. And when you do that, you're taking time away from other guys. So the quicker you can get to, these are our 3 guys, the better it is. Which is, I think, a reason why, Camarda was let go. But look, there was a numbers crunch there, and they had to do something in a roster. But again, maybe one of the easier spots is we'll release the punter instead of somebody else, even though we like them and we're not sold on necessarily Brad Robbins being the number 1 guy. So I do think it's interesting. I'm also going to be watching as we go through, like tomorrow's going to be a day for this, and then into next week. you guys know, like, I'm the number one, like, Brandon Codrington truther out here.
Yeah.
Like, I've been how many months are we going on when I'm telling you Brandon Codrington's the punt returner?
Right.
Right? And I'd still be shocked if he's not. And I haven't seen anything different out here that tells me otherwise. I'll say that.
Right.
But I still want to see, like, how are they handling this?
Right.
You could get some clues from Chris Tabor on this when you have him on. Maybe.
Yeah. We'll try.
Yeah.
Chris Tabor, special teams coordinator, coming up at 9:15. You got a pick tonight, Chargers, Lions? Who do you like? Who do you like? Joe's guy, Trey Lance, is starting for the Chargers.
Well, let's see. The Chargers are coming all the way from the West Coast to go to Canton, Ohio.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, yeah.
It's tough, but it is a night game.
Which coach is going to care more about winning and like getting off on the right foot?
Well, let me tell you something.
That seems like a Dan Campbell.
Doug Marrone.
I've got a tease for you for the break. So you're like, all right, Hall of Fame game. I pop it on for 5 minutes. I turn it off.
Yeah.
Someone in the booth in the second half. There's someone in the booth in the second half that might make it worth watching. A legend in the booth in the second half. I'll tell you who that is next.